All right, click the links to, I guess, find the other video platforms: Odyssey, Bit Chute, Gab TV, and now Subscribestar, and also Shing is the new live streaming platform. So this happened 8 years ago. Oberlin College now agrees to pay $36 million in damages to bakery they smeared as racist over hate hoax. Sort of. What happened was these gentlemen from the school go in to rob a store, steal a bunch of bottles of wine. The proprietor stops them, and then they attack him. And then the guy gets arrested and actually starts crying as he gets arrested. Anyway, so Oberlin College agrees to pay out a defamation case, as you'll see in the letter that they posted, which is insane that anyone with access to a legal department would do this. And their counsel looking this over. I mean, I'm sure their counsel didn't look it over, because the counsel would look it over and go like, if you release this letter, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but you're going to end up paying for it. This is the statements are clearly defamation. This isn't just a matter of opinion. You're saying something that's harmful to their business, and it's also false. So they called the store racist because the store stopped a black student, and then his other black friends tried to attack the guy, and then the police came and actually was able to get there in time to arrest him. So Oberlin administrators suggested the student, Jonathan Elijah Aladdin, was an innocent victim who was racially profiled and accused of stealing just because he was black. In fact, he was stealing 2 bottles of wine and then attacked the store owner's son after he and his 2 accomplices got caught. They were convicted at trial but got off easy thanks to the privileged status. Well, more on that in an instance. Okay, so the guy tries to buy something with a fake ID, and then he noticed the student was concealing bottles of wine inside his jacket. So he told the student he was calling the cops, and when Gibson pulled out his phone to take a photo of the student slapped it away, striking Gibson's face. Okay, so that's the battery. The student ran out of the store. He followed, held onto the shoplifter of the stores, assaulted the store owner, 2 other students, Cecilia Weltstone and Dia Lawrence. Hold on, I'll look up their pictures. Here are the 3 lovely people who I'm sure are very, very woke. As he got arrested, for some reason he was crying over a shoplifting incident. I wonder where these people are now. I'm sure they're massively successful. Okay, but it was this letter that I believe was the defamation, though there was a couple other flyers that they posted. So, dear Oberlin community, it's with great regret that we write to you expressing deep abhorrence towards violence against students. Oberlin is no stranger to acts of hatred, bigotry, and anti-black violence. Well, what about violence in general? Because I'm sure most victims of violence in that school are probably of European descent. White people. As stewards of justice, we're called to acknowledge, repudiate, and actively reject violence in all forms, though it's weird because the line above that you specifically mention anti-black, but then you say it in all forms. Kind of strange, especially as it affects our own. Yesterday, reports of an incident involving Gibson's Market and current students began to circulate. After review, we talked to the students. I'm sure they were perfectly honest. Witnesses and police report. We find it important to share a few key facts. So this is defamatory statements of facts. In fact, they even say it's a fact. A black student was chased and assaulted at Gibson's after being accused of stealing. Several other students attempting to prevent the assaulted student from sustaining further injuries were arrested and held by the police department. Okay, well, I mean, you're coloring things in your own way, but so far, fair enough. In the midst of this, the employees were never detained and were given preferential treatment by police officers. Well, if they were never detained, maybe you know that, maybe not. But how do you know they were given preferential treatment? You're on thin ice here, legally speaking. So Gibson's has a history of racial profiling. Okay, now you're screwed. And discriminatory treatment of students and residents. Okay, again, that's a statement of fact. You better be able, and that's defamation, legally defamation. You better be able to back that up. Charged as representatives of the student council, we've passed the following resolution where we support the commerce of the city. We're against racialized violence. Well, I mean, most violence in your school in your community, the United States is going to be against white people. So, would you like to speak out on who's doing that violence? Whereas Gibson's food market and bakery has made their utter lack of respect for community members of color strikingly visible. Therefore, be it resolved that we immediately cease all support, financial and otherwise. Okay, so now you're saying because the student shoplifted from the store and was arrested for shoplifting after him and his compatriots attacked the people who had that store for over 100 years, you want to blacklist the store who stopped a thief, and then the thief used violence. So you seem to be concerned about violence, but you're not concerned about violence against these people who worked at the store. The students call on the president, the dean of students, administrators to condemn treatments of color students at a bakery. Why don't you just stop stealing from the store? And we want to create a community in which all students are respected, not made with hate due to the color of their skin. Okay, well, I mean, most violence is against your white students. So would you like to focus on their victim status? Somehow I don't think you will. So they stated in court documents that even though the college was aware of the police findings that the kid was a thief and that his two friends were violent, savage thugs, the college encouraged demonstrations outside the bakery, told students they could protest in lieu of attending class, allowed them to make flyers using the school's copiers, and provided protesters with food and drink, even though they knew that the student was in the wrong. It's like the facts don't matter anymore. You're not going to have a civilization for long. As you see, look around in current 2022 America, when facts don't matter, you're just going to devolve to the third world. It's like, yeah, that's America America in the past was better. Right now is worse. You can extrapolate into the future, and you can make that final connection. So they're proud of their students, and they say that Gibson's has been bad for decades. Oh, this is the Department of Africa Studies. Been bad for decades. They're just like black people. Their food is rotten, and they profile black students. Probably because they steal. But no, none of this is true. That if the food was rotten, people wouldn't. That's just an insane level of like low IQ childishness. That it's such a self-own, but they like the lack of self-awareness is staggering. So the students pled guilty, and is it pleaded guilty or pled guilty? I always hear cast and casted. People use casted a lot, and I kind of think it's cast instead of. Anyway, so they pled guilty to misdemeanor attempted theft, yada yada yada, and that was it. They had to pay the fine, and the store was. Oberlin wanted a free pass. The store they first got $44 million. Yeah, don't say it in the comments. And then they settled on $36 million. So they canceled the food contract because the student was a thief, and the bakery owner met with the Oberlins and explained how Oberlin refusal to halt the defamatory comments that hurt the bakery's finances, reputation. Said that Oberlin was willing to consider reinstating the bakery's contract if they would agree to not prosecute first-time shoplifters. That's insane. These are not children. They're in college. Why would you not hold them accountable? Why? It's not too much to ask college students to not steal from a store. Follow-up meeting, the school asked if the store called school police rather than city police when shoplifters were stopped. Again, that's insane. No, you can't have a free pass. So the students know that they can go. Everyone can rob from the store. I would say, yeah, you can have a free. Well, no, you don't really have a free pass under any circumstances. But you can tell the college, yeah, but you're going to have to not only pay for the loss, but you're also going to have to pay, $1,000 fine plus the stolen merchandise from the college. Which honestly, the college is so woke that they probably would pay for it anyway. That's just how insane they are. Yeah, CNN, a mystery over racism and hate on campus. Why? So that's framing it one way. Is the racism really anti-white against the store Oberlin? And is that German? Um, is it? Isn't the issue just theft and violence from these black students who attacked the white store people? Isn't? Do you think that's kind of the bigger issue? It's weird how they frame things. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next episode.